So only a couple of days after human AI pin, which was a variable that was going to transform how you interact with the world. So a bunch of people did compare it with iPhone or almost like an invention that was going to change the world. It was thrashed by people by a crazy amount of bad reviews. Even top YouTubers called their experience disappointing. So again, if you were a human pin company, this would be a terrible time to launch yours. But a company called Limitless announced their own pin, and it's almost like an AI pendant. Let me show you. So again, similar to human pin where you would add it, attach it maybe to your shirt. This is like a pendant where you can wear it with a rope or again attach it to your shirt. So very interesting. And the video or the announcement video here kind of talks about a bunch of things that the pin is able to do. So I'm going to be quickly walking you through the features or the kind of things that the company is talking about. The pin claims to augment, if not replace, human intelligence.
Limitless augments, specifically our memory and our brains are bombarded with notifications and information. Multitasking is a myth. We can only really do one thing at a time. I'm in back-to-back meetings, and I'm going to be 100% focused on the person I'm meeting with. Taking notes, tracking actions, preparing for the next meeting, all prevent me from connecting with the person right in front of me. Limitless automates all of this for you, and it integrates seamlessly with all the technology you already use. Again, it's a web app, a Mac app, Windows app, and a Wearable.
So similar to a smartwatch, this kind of comes with an application, and it kind of needs the application for the purposes the pin or a pen or this pendant is trying to serve. So one of the applications they talked about here is, let's say you want to build an announcement video. Effectively, what you need for it is some context with respect to what it should have and the history of what was discussed in the past and effectively what you basically want to communicate in the announcement video. So what the pin can do for you is it can take some bits from the previous conversation. It can go with you in your meetings and record the current conversation and then generate the announcement video for you. Let's look at the demo real quick here.
What you're looking at is the actual problem Limitless created to help prepare me to make this announcement video. It uses the context of my past, summarizes it, and gives me super helpful tips at a glance. It reminds me that my co-founder, Brett, previously provided feedback on presentation style, emphasizing the importance of making eye contact with the camera, occasional blinking, not talking too fast, and being oneself unless it involves bad puns and silly accents. Thanks, Brett. I'll try to avoid bad puns. Bad puns are a punishment I wouldn't wish on anyone. This is a great example of how a personalized AI powered by what you've seen, said, or heard can take things off and play. Next, let's look at the real-time transcript. Here, everything I've said was recorded and transcribed by Limitless. There's a lot to read here, and when you're in the middle of a meeting, it's tough to scan. Wouldn't it be great if this was synthesized into real-time notes? Well, that's exactly what Limitless offers. Here are real-time notes generated for me. Lastly, we generate a summary after the recording is done. I'll come back to that at the end of this video and show you what Limitless generated. Limitless is live right now. Head over to limitless.am.
So it's not very different from those note-taking apps that you see on Google Meet, only that this comes as a variable. And there is one single thing different than this does. There's one single thing that this does differently than, say, Google Meet note takers, is that this can wait for you to get the consent of the person and only record that person if they give their content or if they give their consent per se. And that's apparently the only benefit they've shown about the pendant. Now, beyond that, they're kind of talking about the battery life and the slick design. So apparently it has around 100 hours worth battery life and it has very slick design. And they call it the most wearable AI today. They're selling it for $99, which is cheaper than some of their other competitors. But again, I wouldn't rush to buy it just yet because I want to. Because again, like I said, human AI pin disappointed a bunch of people who ordered it. And I mentioned before, they have this feature of consent where you can see they are kind of generating the transcript in real time. And then the user of the pin or the pendant says that if it's okay for them to record the conversation, if the person in the meeting says yes, only then they would start recording the content for that person. So that's where they emphasize on the privacy. talking about privacy, they have this approach of storing the information both locally and on cloud, where your private information will be stored locally, but your basic information will be available publicly. So they call this concept confidential cloud, where they take the advantages of the traditional cloud and the local to build this confidential cloud approach. And then they kind of talk about the roadmap that they have in mind and a bunch of these features and security protocols they are looking to implement in the near future. And then here's the summary that they generated. Again, it's unfortunate that they were only able to show this one demo. Like, honestly, I reviewed the Interpreter O1 Lite and that seems way more impressive than this is right now. Again, that also is a wearable that connects to your computer and makes your computer your personal assistant. But the demo was so fascinating and it covered all the use cases. This kind of seems, an advanced version of an audio or, Meet note taker per se, or an AI note taker per se. So I'm not that impressed by this, but I'm going to wait for reviews and hear what other people are saying. Again, seems very cool, almost like an AI pendant, but I wouldn't want to tie a rope around my neck just so that I can move from a cloud and record other people's conversation, right? So again, I know wearable is like an interesting space to be and a bunch of companies are now focusing on it. But honestly, it's going to be problematic until a bigger player like an Apple or a Google enters the space and brings some sort of innovation to the space itself. But that's all I'm going to be covering through the video, guys. I hope this added value to you. Thank you so much and have a good one.